Really nice to see you, everyone, again, in faces that I have seen at this conference in the past few years. And hello to anyone I don't know. I'm Liz Barclay, and I'm also on the steering group for the ERC, which is really important and interesting. And we have talked this morning about support for women-led businesses, support for the everyday economy. We've talked about support for entrepreneurs who perhaps come from an ecosystem where there wasn't the amount of money in the family, and it wasn't assumed that you would necessarily have the potential to be an entrepreneur. But now we want to hear from the businesses themselves. And I've worked with businesses for 30 years, including making 60 small business programs for the BBC. And I've always believed, if you want to know what support is required, talk to the businesses on the front line. And so here they are. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves, but we've got Emily Whitehead, Lisa Pogson, Darren Joint, and Damini Sharma. So I'm going to start with you, Emily, and just pass along the row. Introduce yourself and the business just briefly, so we know who we're dealing with.
Can you hear me okay? Yeah, that's all right, is it? I can't tell. So I'm Emily. I, after a corporate life, set up my first business 24 years ago because the maternity or the new mother package wasn't going to work. And I've been working as a coach and consultant business for the last 20 years, supporting businesses largely in partnership with universities on programs such as Help to Grow, the Days of ERDF, Made Smarter, and interestingly writing a module for an MBA at the moment about entrepreneurship in a disruptive world. And I set up Simply Great Britain in 2018 to provide micro businesses, and I mainly work with 0 to 5s in size, to get consistent community-based, high-quality, tailored resources so that they can access some of those support mechanisms and peer networks that I work with in other programs, but at that micro level.
Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name's Damini Sharma. I'm the CEO and co-founder of the OM Group. We are a construction consultancy and training business, and I co-founded that business with my father 18 years ago, and it's very much still a family-led business.
I am Lisa Pogson. I am Managing Director at Airmaster. We started as an air conditioning company 33 years ago. Glad to say that we've grown and become an EOT business now, and our founders have exited. And we do heating, cooling, plumbing all over the country, but we're based in the north of England, Sheffield, and we've got 44 staff.
Hi everybody, my name's Darren Joint. I run a business called Viking. We're a digitally integrated, on-demand manufacturer of safety signs.
Thank you. So, first of all, tell the audience, there are a couple of questions from me, but then I'm going to open it out to you in the audience. I don't want to be the one who's asking all the questions. So, what are the challenges that you're facing at the moment in your separate individual businesses?
So if I go first, Liz.
Yeah.
From our perspective, we're in construction, and we're a small business in construction, and we've scaled quite quickly as well. Currently, right now, the biggest challenge that we're facing is the uncertainty that we get from government, and in particular, that's exaggerated in the construction sector because of the fact that we've had a lot of new legislation that's come in the last 2 or 3 years. We've had a lot of projects that have stalled. Construction and housing, and the cutting of red tape was a big manifesto pledge by this government, which we're not seeing happen 18 months in. And it's kind of almost, the challenge is, how are we going to scale, continue providing stability, make sure that we're not impacted by what's happening in the current UK economic climate, and also the wider macro global climate, but also understand what support we're going to get from government. And that's our biggest thing at the moment right now, really understanding how we as a business can really have that confidence to be able to grow, scale, and not have things happen to us that have happened to some of the big names in construction, like Ascent, the biggest building control business in the UK, literally went under 2 or 3 weeks ago, and that's a shock, because there were rumours of that happening a few years ago, and they managed to save their business and move forward. We've had ISG, we've had Carillion, we've had lots and lots of businesses that have been impacted. So that's kind of our biggest challenge, I suppose, that stability, that confidence, and knowing that we've got a government that works for small business.
And confidence is a word that comes up time and time again, and the IOD's latest poll on confidence showed the lowest confidence for decades at -73. It's actually ticked up 1 to -72 since the budget, because we did a snap poll. Does any of this ring with you?
Yeah, I
Lisa?
think I've been in construction since I was 16. All my family's from a construction background. It was a family business that I went into. It was my husband's family business that I went into later on. Although he wasn't in the business, it was his brother's. So I sort of see it coming round, and it is a cycle. We all know these cycles, the economic cycles, and I get that. But yeah, it is the boom and bust type stuff, and we've sort of ridden the wave of it. 33, I've avoided the Carillions, I've avoided ISG last year, but you do worry all the time about where it's going to get you. And I think when I was doing my masters years ago, I didn't do it until I was 30, and it was confidence, collaboration and connectivity was the 3 things that came out as my sort of summary. Was if I'd got those 3 things and we could keep the business with those 3 things, it would work. And I still keep going back to that. If we've got some confidence, and my favourite thing is onwards and upwards, keep on, keeping on. That's what I told the team. They said it to me this morning when I said I didn't want to come here. But I do think it is absolutely, you've got to be watching your back, your front, you've got to have eyes everywhere, and it is the confidence to keep going.
And can I just add certainty? Because without it, you're not going to be confident. And communication. I would, as a communications person. Darren, any of this ringing with you, or have you got a different set of issues?
Yeah, a similar story for us. Really, sales demand is what I need to drive, and that in the sectors that we serve, just construction, facilities management, those kind of things. I think I also see we're a family business. I've got strong values about how to do business, and I see increasing pressure on that. It'd be interesting about the social capital aspect. I've been under pressure to make people redundant or downside, which we avoided, but there's continuing pressure to do business in a more cutthroat way, I would say, and I don't want that. And it's really interesting to hear about valuing social, because we employ local people, and I feel that what we add is not valued, and I feel more and more depressed about kind of the move towards just chasing lowest cost.
And I think that's a really interesting point. And I think that the micros, the sole traders, the small businesses are where an awful lot of that social capital comes from. See if the audience agrees that that's important. Emily, what are you facing?
I'm nodding a lot.
Yes.
Uncertainty is the big one, and it's I've spoken to several businesses just in the last week who've said November 2025 feels more difficult than November 2020, and I think that comes from the geopolitical, climate change, legislative changes, but also I think there's a huge problem with well-being and with stress and with managing workforce, finding talent, retaining talent in an environment that feels like everybody is running on minimum capacity. And of course, with that minimum capacity, and I felt it myself, you are trying to innovate, you're trying to stay resilient and agile with absolutely no extra hours and no extra capacity in the business because it's uncertain, so you don't make the same leaps.
And that well-being point is important, but also so is the demographics. 44% of people working in the construction sector in particular are over 55. The average of the workforce over 55 is 27%. So there's a big issue there coming down the line, and that brings with it musculoskeletal issues and all sorts as well. So what kind of support then, what changes do you think are needed in the support ecosystem in order to allow the 4 of you to flourish rather than just thrive, rather than just strive to exist?
I think for me, I have to say, we're a Sheffield Rotherham-based business. We're in South Yorkshire. We've had devolution. I went through the heartache of it when I was part of the chambers. I was chamber president for a while, and I think there's some great support there. I think we've been really, really lucky in South Yorkshire. I want us to continue to be really lucky because we've had growth. We've had the growth teams. We've had funding support for training. I'm really sad to see the level 7 because I've just got some people up to that and that's getting pulled the funding, which I think is not right because they tell the leaders that they've got to lead and do it, and they're the people that need that support. So I'm really sad about that, but generally I think we've been quite lucky and I just want that to continue. I'm desperate that we keep getting that support and those programmes.
How much of that is down to localism, local understanding of the business ecosystem locally?
I think it is a lot, and I think personally, again, you call it local, but you put yourself there. We all put ourselves there, and you do put yourself out in the communities, and you do have those values, and I have put us out as a business. I have put us out there, so we interact with the local councils. When it was COVID, we were on COVID response because we worked through COVID as key workers. So we've put ourselves out there, and sometimes you put yourself up above the parapet, and I was speaking to somebody at lunchtime, and he just said sometimes you just think, oh, better off down under that parapet. But
Oh no.
you need yourself, you need to push yourself, and I do think if you're at the edge of your comfort zone, you're just where you need to be. And I think for us, like I say, I feel in a lucky position in South Yorkshire because we've gone over that, and I think somebody mentioned about the combined authorities and the local mayors, and I think we've got some of that, and I think it needs to be everywhere. People need that support everywhere.
Do you know what? I completely agree with you. Locally, regionally, really, really matters. But I think we need to be heard. I think we need the forum to be heard in a much, much bigger scale. Right now, if we look at, and I know this sounds like I'm on a soapbox, and I promise you I'm not. A former MP is on my board, Paul Scully, so I'm really not going like down the political route.
He was my
too
former
much.
minister as well.
But this is, and this hasn't come from Paul, this has been my opinion for a number of years. When we look at the people who are representing us at central government and at local government, it's the larger businesses, it's the corporates, it's the people in whose supply chains we sit. It's the people who need us for a different reason than we need them. We need them to pay our staff. We need them to pay our rent. We need them to pay for the stuff that we do and to grow and scale our businesses.
Do you think they understand that?
No, they absolutely don't understand it because otherwise they would be championing some of the things that we are asking for. It's taken us a long time to get fair payment practices in place. It's taken a long time for that to happen. And I think the other part of this as well, we mentioned and we've talked about ISG, Carillion, SN, all of these things that I've brought up, and that's across other industries as well, not just in construction. But it actually needs to become the norm that we can talk about those things without a sense of failure, without a sense of shame. I've put a business down in 2018, 2019, and I remember sitting at Downing Street at a round table event talking to Boris Johnson and some of his ministers and other business owners, and I was the last to speak because it just coincidentally happened that it went around the room that way, and everybody was saying all these wonderful stories, and my story was I had to remortgage and refinance my parents' properties to save our business. And no bank, no finance institution, no large corporate would give me a second chance.
So does the question about female-led businesses and funding ring with you?
Oh, massively.
Talked about
Massively.
that.
We had to earn our way back there through government sector contracts, through pushing and getting that support. I work with Aston, with Mark, with Mondo, with other people that are in this room, and I've done a lot of work with them to get to where we need to get to. Goldman Sachs have been instrumental, but that's because they've met me and know me.
Yes, I
That
absolutely
voice
agree
doesn't
with
work
that.
otherwise.
Can I just ask, is it 230 billion that we could put into the economy if we funded female-led businesses in the way that we fund male-led businesses? Well, there's a lot of those black holes that we've been hearing about over the last week would be filled.
What I feel is that, and I obviously am part of quite a lot of business support Where it works really well is when it's business-centred, when businesses are met where they are. So that might be that they are female-led and founded, it might be that they are micro, it might be that they are in a different sector, and they need long-term relationships. So that, and I'm part of programmes. I deliver programmes, 12 weeks, it's fabulous, but only when the biggest success is when they get to be in the room together, share experiences, share knowledge, and have long-term relationships that will see businesses through all those stages of development, retraction, growth, digital adoption, innovation. They are supported, and when I see that, it's often university partners that do that. Then people need community, and again, at that micro level, they still need it. They still need that tailored, business-centred, long-term relationship.
And Monda talked about about relationships earlier. Does it need to be? Is it because it's personalised? I mean, we've got a lot of generic advice and support available. It's hard to find the right personalised stuff.
It's because it's personalised, but because every business is different, every business owner is different, and they need to find the support that they can practically apply to a business. And that needs sometimes hand-holding, sometimes it not. Sometimes they just need to be in a room with peers to get the ideas and to share the knowledge.
And 90% of our businesses in the UK are family-run businesses. Yeah. Is the right support available?
I guess I was going to talk a little bit about Made Smarter,
Go on.
which I've been deeply involved with and benefited from. I've got some things perhaps that we could do better to support that, but it's interesting hearing from other sectors who haven't got that. I complain about Made Smarter, but it seems like manufacturing has been prioritised, which is lovely for me. I'm sorry for everyone else that hasn't had that support, perhaps. So from Made Smarter's perspective, it's been funded sort of over cliff edges, which makes it very hard to sustainably grow that programme. It only now, I think, is really coming into the fore and reaching the businesses that it should in ways that it really truly can, because the funding has been sort of, year on year, and it can't then build and grow local resources, spinning up employees that need long-term ability to work. That's only now is the sort of funding far enough forward that they're able to plan for that, and more businesses are able to benefit from it.
So are you saying things are getting better? Because I've been hearing the same complaint for 30 years. We don't know where the funding's going to come from come April.
I think Made Smarter is getting better and better from my perspective. Because I'm a bit sad that that's not other than experience perhaps in other sectors, because it as an exemplar of how to do it and to be led by people with manufacturing experience and build capacity. There's funding involved in that, but for me that's secondary to the technical expertise. That's what's really is beneficial and valuable, and that you need to build the capacity to deliver that. If you don't have it, it's just not available. You can't turn it on straight away.
And that comes back to certainty and confidence and so on. Yeah. Right, questions from the floor. I said I was only asking 2, and I've now asked about a dozen. Some questions from the floor. You've got 4 businesses here that want to be heard, so please do. Let's have the questions coming in. Hands up and tell me who you are. Yes, you have to press the button on the microphone.
Paul Scully, I'm on the board of the OM Group, and also former Minister for Small Business. A couple of things, because you talked about the relationship, with primes, big businesses, and small businesses, their supply chain. It's interesting, when I was Aviation Minister, that actually there was a mismatch of expectations. Primes thought they were doing a great job, small businesses, their supply chain thing, and actually, no, they're not, so it's important to listen to both. But we've talked a lot about how government can help you. Can you tell us a little bit, with maybe some specific examples, how government can back out and get out of your way and trust you to run your businesses?
I like that one. We'll take a couple more, maybe, if there are a couple more. I can't see hands because the lights are a bit. Gentleman at the back.
Yeah, so my question would be...
I don't think we're...
Hello?
I don't think your microphone is on.
Someone else's is on.
Ah.
I forgot what it is now.
That's it.
I'm only joking. No, the second question was a general question, so I got a lot of these sort of events and we hear from about how business support should work and, you know, about the budget and stability. So a question would be, what should the government do in these really polarised political times when government's going to keep flipping? There's going to be new industrial strategy, new plans. What should we put in a budget?
Oh, well, there you go. Advisors to the next Chancellor. Step forward. So how should government back out and let you get on with it? And how should the next budget handle small businesses and the issues that you face? There you go. Go on.
Okay.
Who's going to do that?
I'll be brave, I'll go first. So in terms of how government should kind of move out of our way, and that's a great question because I don't think I've ever heard anybody ask that before. Like, it's always how can we help, not how can we actually step away and let you crack on. And I think a big part of that has got to be that they've got to listen to the people that are providing them the research, the information. Mark, the Enterprise Research Centre, Aston, Warwick Business School, all of these different organisations that are providing this data to the government need to listen to it, because it's great, you go to Parliament, you share all this information, you share all the research, the data, the feedback that's coming back. But what we as small businesses see is zero. What changes? What happens after that? Where do we see that? And if it does happen, it takes a year, 2 years, 3 years.
Because we probably need changes in legislation, the process is
And they probably
really
argue about
long.
one word over 2 words and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And that's the part that needs to change. We as businesses don't wait for change to happen. We are change makers, we're entrepreneurs, we're innovators. That's why we run small businesses. Yeah. And in order for us to be able to do what we do and to get to the level that we need to get to, we need, as the gentleman at the back mentioned, what do we do like when governments change? We need bipartisan policies that withstand the test of a cyclic government.
Okay. Emily.
And perfect, because I was just going to say, Q, what I was going to say is, first, please, can we have a nationally based ecosystem of clear signposting, that everybody understands, that provides the opportunity for peer-to-peer to be facilitated, so that businesses know where to go locally. It covers the whole, it's not a postcode lottery, because it's great. I work in Aston and in Birmingham, I work up in Manchester, Salford, and there's some fantastic stuff going on. And where you see that work is these long-term relationships. These businesses are in WhatsApp groups. I'm delivering some Made Smarter in South East. The same thing's happening. Once you provide that, off they go. They stay in touch. They innovate together. They prototype together. They share, help each other for years and years to come. So if we've got that solid foundation where we know where to go for all sizes of business, please, don't ignore the under fives, then people can crack on, because they are innovators, they are amazing, and we are amazing at what we do. If we can only have enough stability and a clear ecosystem, we'll crack on.
Over to you.
I think neutral strategy, that's been a hot potato for such a long time. Chopped and changed. Yes, we're entrepreneurial and we're dynamic, but we want consistency and certainty. So put it into someone's hands that isn't going to get changed. Legislate for an independent body for industrial strategy, for example, that's not controlled by the next government changing something else. Give it to someone else. That would make a mess.
I am dismayed to discover we have 6 minutes left. Lisa.
I just agree with the consistency. You just need consistency. And when we talk about community, although we're based in Sheffield, we work in London a lot of the time, so I'm down here a lot. So my community is actually, quite often around Oxford Street or Tottenham Court Road or whatever, so we're doing fit-out work. So, and those peer-to-peer groups that I've done through Goldman Sachs, through local training, they're the things that have got me through, because you've got somebody to ring and say, this has just happened. And I think that is so important, but the one thing that you don't get is the consistency. And I think that's what government needs to do, is to just back off, put somebody in place that is, like you said, across parties, that is not going to get chucked out at the next whatever choice it is. It's really important to us to have that stability.
I think you can hear my thought processes. Right, in the last 5 minutes, can we think about what the future workforce looks like? Because the demographics are changing, the way young people want to work is changing, technology is changing. What are the support systems going to need to look like? Given, as we said, somebody leading it so that if political parties change, it doesn't change. We've got a real consistent base there to build on. What do we need to be thinking about, Darren?
I mean, I guess one of the challenges that we've had to navigate is working from home and the kind of movement of that. We moved during COVID completely to working from home, apart from the people in the factory. Obviously had to run the factory, and I was a strong advocate of that because it gave us a lot of flexibility. We've now moved back to flexible working, so 2 days a week. I have most of my team in the factory, in the offices, and that makes a massive difference to our kind of collaboration that was missing or got worse over time from having to work from home, from everybody working from home. And I think I'm increasingly trying to bring more young people into the business, but that's definitely challenging with the current apprentice mechanisms. It's difficult to find the right people and the right courses for us to train people to do the things we need.
So fully funding is one thing, but the flexibility to use the apprenticeship money and
Yes, the other things, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's really important as well, and I think one of the things that's come out to me a lot in my head today is the supply chain. So we've got one-man band businesses work with us right up to we're working with multi-billion-pound construction companies. So we've got a supply chain there that we're feeding. We're proudly built. I was an apprentice at 16. A lot of my team were now with me 25 years on. And to bring those people keep coming through, it's a challenge with colleges. Again, there's no consistency on funding. So we're having to put people back. And I think what you said about the sort of challenges of the older workforce, what we're seeing now, and more in our local colleges particularly, is that they're asking us to go in and actually train our own people. And that is working for us locally, just doing a day a week or a day a month or whatever to go in and support, because they can't get tutors out of the engineering and out of the construction. And a lot of people might be thinking, this all construction based or whatever, but 20% of people in this country are employed in a construction or manufacturing business.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important to remember. We need to get those people trained up if they're coming through. Yeah, it's not going to solve it all.
No.
A bit more of a general observation, I think that we need to make the country a bit more attractive to live and work in. I read an article today that Nick, the average 30-year-old, living in London on a 6-figure salary, is thinking about moving to the Middle East or emigrating because his 6-figure salary after taxes doesn't amount to a very good high-quality life. So how are we going to recruit people if during this parliamentary term 3/4 of the UK emigrates? I know, excessive. I know it won't happen, but
Can somebody turn the lights out? Emily.
I'm interested in that actually, because as the mother of early 20-somethings, one of whom is still in university, one of whom is just graduated, have absolutely no intention of having one job. They are all their friends, the people I work with, people within my own community and business community, they are expecting to be entrepreneurs even if they're alongside linear employed work. They're expecting to do that because that will help them finance a lifestyle, because the digital landscape means that they can do that pretty easily, and they're super entrepreneurial. So my concern would be, how are we readying businesses to employ those kinds of individuals who are expecting to be highly flexible, highly innovative and entrepreneurial? Are they ready? But also, how can we support those young people to build careers in a totally new way?
And I suspect there's a government department looking at the workforce of the future somewhere, but we need to be involved in that, because it's not just about employees. You have got 15 seconds each. What's the magic wand, if you had one, that you would, the step you would take?
I don't know if it's a magic wand. I mean, I think it is very difficult for SMEs to access public procurement. because it's so many different schemes. You have to be on 15 different schemes to be in every possible, and the bidding process is very difficult to navigate.
Despite the new Procurement Act?
Yes,
Okay.
I mean, almost impossible. It's almost not worth bothering. And I also, the other point I wanted to make was about sustainability. I personally really care about environmental sustainability. I think young people, increasingly, that's a top priority for them. In my supply chain, my customers don't care enough about it, and I wish they would care more about it, because I want more customers that care about that.
But I think that workforce thing, the values and principles, and that young people want to work with companies with values. Magic wand?
Magic wand, I think keep some funding in place so you can help to put people through courses, and whether it's your supply chain that's helping you through the apprenticeship levy, whatever version of that we're on now, or something else. We need that funding in place because it helps you match or get some support for yourself as a business. That's key for me.
Okay. Magic wand?
Bring more businesses into central government so that they can actually have their voices heard across all levels.
Thank you.
Love all these magic wands.
Yes.
The magic wand for me was, please don't forget the micro businesses. Please make sure we understand who they are, what their motivations are, what help they need, because they will be the bigger businesses of the future if only they were helped enough.
Well, I think you've been an absolutely magnificent panel. Big round of applause, please. And there you are, Jane. We're only a minute and a half over.
A success.